Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Schaefer, and welcome to another episode of Let's Squawk About It. Today, our guests are Aaron Kiess and Tomi. We are talking about Salmonella Sanitation. To begin with, Tomi, why don't you introduce yourself, give us a little bit of your background and your area of expertise.
Okay. Thank you for the introduction. It's really nice to meet you. My name is Tomi Bay. I am currently a postdoctoral associate at the Department of Population Health at University of Georgia. Um, After my bachelor's in poultry science at Mississippi State University, I had the opportunity to work at a poultry processing plant. And I think that was for about a year and 2 months. And then I returned to Mississippi State for my master's and then PhD. So I have some background in poultry processing. Um, However, my research interest is centered around understanding the prevalence, the persistence, and also resistance of foodborne pathogens, including Salmonella in food processing environment. And that includes poultry processing environment as well. My ultimate goal is to be able to develop an effective mitigation strategies to control Salmonella in poultry meat.
Fantastic. We're happy to have you. And Aaron, why don't you introduce yourself?
All right. I am a professor at Mississippi State University. I have been working at Mississippi State for approximately 12 years now. My research revolves around food safety, whether that be pre-harvest or post-harvest. Over the years, we have looked at ways to mitigate pathogens from the breeder flocks all the way through to the end of process. Our overall strategy, of course, is to try to make poultry products as safe as we can for the consumers who are going to be eating them.
Awesome. Today we are talking about Salmonella Sanitation, and the reason we decided to bring you both in is because together back in January 2018-2019, you conducted a study to determine the prevalence of Salmonella after cleaning and sanitation in several poultry processing facilities. Given that we are now in the age of COVID-19 and sanitation has become something everyone is doing more and more on a personal level, the timing of this discussion is exceptionally relevant. So based on your study, what's the concise version of your findings?
Well, the concise version of our finding is that we looked into different equipment within different processing plants. During the time of our study, they were within the USDA regulation for salmonella control, but we were still able to recover salmonella after their rigorous and thorough sanitation procedures.
Aaron, is there anything you would like to add?
She wrapped that up pretty good.
That's a good and concise summary. I did look through the paper, and you guys did quite a bit of work on this. And one of the plants in your study revealed no salmonella following sanitation procedures. And I wanted to start off the discussion by saying, what factors do you believe contributed to this lack of salmonella after sanitation and cleaning had been done? Tell me, we'll start with you, and then Aaron, you can weigh in.
Okay, so there is a number of factors that can contribute to salmonella persistence in the environment. It could be because of the cleaning detergents or the sanitizers that we are using. It could also be because we have a high initial bacterial load on the surface, or even that the pathogens within the processing environment have persisted over time and develops biofilms, in which case it will be much more difficult to remove those attached microorganisms than when they are not attached.
So to reiterate what Tomi said, there are a lot of factors that go into whether or not salmonella or any of the pathogens that are in a processing plant are able to persist. And for some of these plants, it could be that day that we sampled, they had the right combination of things going on where we just weren't able to detect it. So, that's a good thing that we can find plants that come up that there is no salmonella on any of the areas we sampled.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, given the day and time, you know, there's other factors at play here that are kind of out of your control.
Yeah.
So moving forward with this, based on your opinion, do we need to re-examine antimicrobials being used for sanitation, or is there a need to revisit more extensive cleaning efforts before sanitation, or does it kind of go back to that, what we just touched on about, you know, given the day and time, different factors come at play here and it's out of our control sometimes?
Oh, well, sometimes, like you said, it's just out of our control. And we really don't know how the processing plants should react to the findings of our study. However, we believe the processing industry can use this information as they see fit, particularly when they are developing their sanitation protocol.
This is a good thing to look at and reconsider um, the extent, maybe even, of cleaning and sanitation efforts, not just to point out, oh, something's being missed, just to kind of reevaluate and look at how extensive it's being done.
Right.
Right. And I would mention, like we said in the study, all the plants we visited, they performed a very rigorous cleaning procedures. So they were all within limits. And like Dr. Key said at the beginning, they are doing a good job, so to say.
Yeah, and it's really, from what I gathered, it's not really something to be scared of. I mean, people at home shouldn't be terrified of this or anything because efforts are being done, and that's a good thing to point out. You know, this isn't something to be scared of. It just points out the scientific research to enhance cleaning efforts and sanitation.
Exactly.
So with that being said, for those at home, should consideration be given to washing poultry before cooking, or does the key lie in poultry meat thoroughly reaching an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit? And the reason I wanted to ask this is because seeing that there's still some presence of salmonella, are people to be overly concerned, which we've kind of already established no, but we wanted to touch on this topic. So Aaron, I'll give you a start and then we'll go to Tomi.
So I'm quite a bit older than I think both of you, but in high school, I was always taught, you know, you should not wash your meats before you cook it because adding water to it will allow what bacteria that are there to potentially have access to a greater surface area. But with that being said, it's also really known and scientific that if you cook your meat to 165 degrees Fahrenheit, it doesn't matter if you wash it or not, it should be safe for you to consume. So cook your food properly.
No ceviche for anybody.
Right.
Yes, I agree. Cook thoroughly.
Great advice. The study was very interesting. We will link the journal page in our video description for those viewers who would like to read into this a little bit more. Before we sign off here, is there anything else either one of you would like to plug?
Yeah, I would like to have the opportunity to say thank you to all of the participants in this project. They did not have to provide us access to their facilities, but they did. And that shows that the poultry industry as a whole really wants to make sure what they are providing to their customers is safe. And they are going to take information that they get and try to find ways to improve on an already good system that they have in place.
I agree. We just want to appreciate everybody that contributed to the findings of our study. Thank you.
Well, thank you both for joining me today for this quick little interview and this insight into salmonella sanitation. In the day and age where sanitation has become the norm, it's interesting to touch on sanitation in a different light rather than just our own hands. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.